All right. Hey guys, how are you? For those who don't know me, my name is Danny, and this is kind of an unflattering position, but we're just gonna get over it and move with it, okay? So my name's Danny, and we are just gonna kind of quickly talk about a few important things for tonight and coming up into the holiday season. We in the Northern Illinois, Wisconsin, all those areas are about to experience our first blizzard of the year with like 60-mile-an-hour winds, 3 to 5 inches of snow. So it's about to get really, really, really crazy. And so since it's about to get really crazy, and this is the last night for like Christmas shopping, we need to take some serious care of ourselves, especially over the next few days, because like I said, it's about to get crazy. Okay, so we gonna sit down and chit chat. And here's Krystal.
Thanks, Danny.
You're
So, we
welcome.
are going to share just a couple of tips today on how to stay focused on self care and self love through the holiday season. So, we have 4 quick tips for you. And the first one is to make yourself a priority. I just want to make it clear that you matter. Okay. And it's important to take time and make time for yourself. I saw a post on Facebook or something, social media, not too long ago, saying something about how your kids should always come first, above and beyond anything and everything else, including your wants, needs, and desires. And I absolutely disagree with that. I think it is so important for you to take care of you so that you have the energy, the compassion, the patience, and the love to pour in to your children, your spouse, your home, your life. And if you don't take care of yourself, then it is absolutely impossible to give to anybody else because you're trying to pour from an empty cup.
Yes, it's so hard. Like when you're mom all the time and you just need like a few minutes of like you time so you can just like be happy again and be free and just be positive because it is so hard, especially dealing with like littles and all that stuff all the time. It's so hard.
Yeah, and it's more than just being positive too. And when I say like taking that time, like a lot of times, okay, so as a mom, Danny, I'm sure you can relate. There's a lot of times, especially when you have very, very small babies, that you can go days without changing your clothes, taking a shower, like feeding yourself a real meal, getting
Because
out of the
coffee
house.
doesn't count as a real meal, in
I
case you were
know.
wondering.
Thank you. Totally me, right?
Yeah, iced coffee doesn't count.
Doesn't
Sorry.
count. Right. But we're not even doing those basic things because we're like, well, it's so important to make sure that the kids are taken care of, that the house is taken care of, that work is handled, that whatever it is that is a priority. But like, you matter. Like, you need to take care of you the same way that you think it's important to make sure that your kids have their meals and clothes and showers and whatever it is, their exercise, their fresh air, their good night's rest, right?
Hmm.
So that's tip number 1 is make yourself a priority because you do matter. You are important and it's necessary to take care of yourself. Self-care isn't a privilege. It's not a luxury, okay? It's not all about pampering yourself and spa days and, bubble baths, and that stuff is great. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love it. But
Of
that's not what I'm
course.
talking about when I'm talking about self-care. I'm talking about taking care of yourself the same way, to the same standard, to the best of your ability, just like you do the rest of your family.
Definitely.
So, tip number 2, be present and be intentional. So, what I mean by this is to notice how you're affected by things, especially around the holidays. So, I don't know about you, but like whining and crying is like a serious like sensory thing, right? If I'm already overwhelmed and then there's all of that noise, and not just noise, I can deal with noise. Like all the time, my friends are like, "How can you even think?" I'm like, "Oh, I've got it blocked out. Like I can't even hear it." But the whining, the crying, it's like a knife piercing. It's like right through, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I can't deal. So if I know that about myself and I know that we're going to be in a situation, in a holiday situation around family, that's something that I can prep for. Like, what's my plan going to be when this happens? Because it's
Not if, it's when.
right. Let's face it. It's the holidays, right? There's going to be some whining and some screaming. Like, prep yourself for that. Be intentional and don't just wait until you get into the moment and you're overwhelmed and dealing with, all of the emotions that come up. Like, prep yourself as much as you can. Like, obviously we can't prepare for everything, but as much as you can, acknowledge it and then prepare for it instead of avoiding or reacting to it in the moment.
Hmm.
Danny,
Because
do
it's
you
pretty easy to react to things in the moment, and then you always feel bad because you said something that you shouldn't have, or you're always kind of hurting people's feelings because you're reacting in the moment instead of
exactly.
processing it.
Yeah, that's so important. So, and especially around holidays when you're like around family, there's always a little bit of friction, not always, but sometimes there's a little bit of friction or certain situations like people want to avoid. Like, obviously, prepare ahead of time,
Exactly.
like that you will feel better going into it and it'll be a better experience for you, a better experience for your children, just a better experience all the way around. Which kind of leads us into tip number 3, which is give yourself the gift of space, time, and permission to take care of yourself. Okay. So acknowledging that you need to do it and giving yourself permission to do it are kind of similar, but not, they're kind of completely different things too. So include, if you're a new mom and this is, the self-care thing, or sorry, hygiene thing was something that you're struggling with, or if you're going through depression, sadness, uh, that's lingering on depression, if you're overcoming trauma, like these can be things that are overwhelming. Like, oh my gosh, it's too much. Put it into your calendar. Give yourself that space. Give yourself that time and hold to it just like you would any other, you know, appointment, if you
Hmm.
will.
For this one, I used this one a lot today, actually. Um, I I was trying to be like, I was having a really rough day with my 2.5-year-old, almost 3-year-old. It was a rough day. It was not a good day. It was one of those days where you didn't brush your hair, you were still in your pajamas. The only thing I had drank this morning and I had eaten was my iced coffee and my emergency like nasty drink. Okay, so that's the only thing I had eaten up until noon. And it was a really 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 hard day with him. He's sick, he's not listening, and he's just kind of doing whatever in the heck he wants to. Like there's no, he's like, I'm gonna do it, I know it takes you off, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Mhm.
And like there were numerous times today where I just like could feel that I was on the verge of like flipping out. Like I could just feel it. So I would just, okay, I need that time for myself for a minute. Like he went to his room to play quietly. Like his door was open. Like I could see him. I could watch him on the camera, like everything. And I'm just right on the other side of the wall. So I just used that time. I did some practicing some Spanish on my phone today. I made myself something to eat. When he took his nap today, I sat my butt on the couch and I watched Friends because you better believe that is my show when I'm just like
Good.
all kinds of moods. Like you
Yes.
have to take time for yourself. And if you're not at your best, like you can't tend to other people and help other people. Like you have to be good and it's hard.
Yeah. It is. It is. And doing things that's a good point. Doing things that you enjoy, that like genuinely bring you joy, like sitting down and watching Friends.
Exactly.
I totally get it. Like the entire um series got me through a really bad breakup at one point in time. Like I get it. Like
They're
Friends is where it's at.
amazing. I've watched all the episodes at least 4 times.
Yeah. And so simple things that don't cost a lot or anything at all can be just as rewarding just as fulfilling, just as helpful as those, self-care, like pampering, expensive things that we typically think about when we think about self-care, or I think we typically think about. But just going outside for a walk, right? Grabbing a cup of coffee, going to the local bookstore or library and browsing. And
Hmm.
if you don't feel like being alone, invite a friend to go with you. Make some memories. That's going to be good for you socially, emotionally, spiritually.
And sometimes it's just nice to see like a different like scenery. Just like
Yes.
a different setting is always so much nicer than just being in the same one you're in all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So take the time, give yourself those gifts of space and time and permission to take care of yourself. I promise it's worth it.
Yes.
And number 4, the last one, with it being Christmas and the holidays and everything, our final tip for you is to focus on what matters. Being with your people, making the memories, sharing the joy, passing on the traditions. These are the things that matter. So when you focus on these and you give thanks for the blessings that are already in your life, it can take you to such a better place mentally and emotionally. And that's why we do it, right? These are the things that make the season so special. That's why we do the baking
Yes.
and the decorating and the traveling and the picture taking and the Christmas card writing and right?
Yes. The
That's the
matching
whole
pajamas,
point.
the
Exactly.
just togetherness, the games, all of that stuff. It's so important. Even
So
all the messes in the kitchen, like having your littles help you in the kitchen. Like it's those fun little memories you get to have with them. And they can
incredible
have with
memories.
you.
And they
Yeah.
will remember, like they'll bring them back up and they'll be like, "You remember this time?" And you'll be like, "Yeah, now that you say it, I do." But it's like a memory, like a core memory that's just like ingrained and stays with them forever. And it's amazing.
Yes.
Such a magical time. So that's our last tip. Number 4, focus on what matters. You are so blessed. So enjoy it. That's all that we have for you tonight. I'm Krystal,
And I'm Danny.
and we will be here again. I have to check the schedule and see where are we at. It's Christmas Eve, probably not next week. But we are going to start doing
Mhm.
this regularly in the new year. So
And
stick
I'm so
around,
excited.
stay in our groups. If you have things that you want to talk about, let us know. You can message us, you can drop them in the chat, and we will answer them and do our best to share them.
Yes, yes, yes.
Have a great night. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.